Okay, this is a video for the ThieAudio Excalibur. It is a $529 2EST 2BA 1DD driver set. It was released with the Oracle, which is the same configuration, but it's got different tuning. For the people that think that these are more affordable versions of the Monarch and Clairvoyance, wrong. That's not actually what these are. These are totally different sets from those. They're not tuned the same way. They play back my library differently. They're audibly different. I'll give you an example. The Monarch and the Clairvoyance, when they first came to my possession, I thought that the Monarch was going to be what I fell in love with. It was the Clairvoyance, and it was because the kick drum sounded slightly cut off a little bit. And another reviewer, Critical, who reviewed them also, and other people who listened to it could pick up that that was a little different. Like there was a little bit of abruptness to some extension on the kick drum, and also on some bass guitar replay, and maybe some other instruments that they listened to with their library. And so an adapter, an impedance adapter, was recommended for people who found that to be lacking, because it could happen, and that was kind of confirmed. If you listen and you A and B stuff, you can pick out stuff very quickly. The difference between the Excalibur and the Oracle was pretty quick to pick out, and I'll be very specific. Black Sabbath, Sweet Leaf, 2009 remastered version. This is YouTube, quality's not great, but you can get the gist of what I'm talking about. There's a 14-second window between 236 and 249 where you get to hear what is this right here. Black Sabbath Sweet Leaf Rehearsal, also on YouTube. Jesus Unholy. This only has 29,000 views. It blows my mind. Go ahead and play right here. He's banging on the skins. Low frequency instrument right here, making a lot of noise. And the bassist is getting busy at the same time, and they kind of can look at him. Those pulls and releases are very fast, and they can almost be hard to get the in between. The individual pulls and releases not becoming kind of in this same track. When the solo kind of dips and comes back again, the quality of the bass doesn't quite sound as sharp as it does right now. He sounds better now in this video and also in the original version, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't know if there's a distortion pedal added by the guitarist. I don't know what's going on, but the first part of this where they go into the solo, 255 on this video, and on the original version that you might have on vinyl or on a disc would be 236 to 249. It sounds brilliant on the Oracle and on the Clairvoyance, and on the Excalibur it doesn't. It sounds audibly less quality. It sounds more of a blobbish type thing coming together. That's an overstatement because the Excalibur is a good set, but it doesn't treat this as well as the Oracle does. So the sub-bass and mid-bass is very different, and it's very audible. If you add the Clairvoyance in here, you can see that the correction point for the mid-bass is almost identical. You're going to get more force in the low end with the Clairvoyance. It shows it on the graph, and it's audible to the ear, listening to the same stuff. But when I listen to the Oracle, I don't ever feel like I'm lacking something. If you want a bass head set, the Clairvoyance isn't even that anyway. But if you like impactful bass and that's your biggest point, then I'd say go ahead and get the Clair. I wouldn't say get the Excalibur, because it just, this isn't bad tuning in and of itself, but in the way that it was executed and put together in this instance it is, or it's being compared to two sets that do it much better. So the Excalibur is losing out very quickly because my evaluation, as everybody knows, actually starts in the low end. The Excalibur does really everything else well. The only other moment where I can see that there's a difference, I think that the Excalibur gives a little bit too much energy to stuff like Chris Cornell, Nothing Compares to You, the cover of the Prince track that was made famous by Sinead O'Connor. I got that faster than I did last time. You can kind of pick this up right here between 4.5 and 8 kilohertz. You can catch the upper harmonics a little bit more, and almost to the point of fatigue with Chris Cornell and other stuff, for example, in that range, where you don't pick it up with the Oracle, because the Oracle is splitting right to the middle of these two. It's got more energy than the Clairvoyance does, which you might not find to be lacking at all, and I never really did. I just feel that the Oracle is doing it better, and it's literally splitting right down the middle between these two. Pretty much. It's closer to the Excalibur, but it's trajecting down pretty much, and it's got this last little bump to give energy and air and other things depending on what you're listening to. The Excalibur is a good set, and other people are going to review it and find the beauty in it. I can't let go of the Oracle and its excellence because I can't escape the comparison between the two, because it's why most people are watching this video right now. The Oracle is the better set than the Excalibur across the board. The Clairvoyance is better than the Oracle in the sub bass, and that's pretty much it. And therefore the Oracle is my favorite ThieAudio earphone that they've ever made. And I've got to adjust my rankings because as I speak that out loud, it becomes reality. It's a really good set. It's tuned very well, and it does my library. Music is everything. This is why I think what I do, because I listen to Marvin Gaye, I listen to Leonard Skinner, Metallica, Michael Jackson, Nas, Ozzy Osbourne, Nirvana, Pink Floyd, Public Enemy, Robert Palmer, Rolling Stones, Soundgarden, Steely Dan. This is why I think the way that I do, because when I listen to music like this, I'm expecting things to sound ideally. Like if the set's really good, it's going to do really well with my library. And then everything else, like it's pretty good, or it's all right, or it's, you know, it's competitive, or this is not really good. The Excalibur falls into a good set in its price range. I think it's better than the EST112. I think the EST112, the more I listen to it, has a grainy, I mentioned it in my video, it's like a grainy, I don't know, the treble quality is not, it's not its strong point anyway. The Excalibur is better than that set, but the Excalibur is not better than the Oracle, no way. And it's not better than the Clairvoyance. I would say Oracle, Clairvoyance, Monarch, Excalibur, if we're going to do the four. So it would literally be the lowest ranked of the four. I would put the adapter on the Monarch and deal with that. I guess that there would be a way for me to tighten up this with some kind of adapter, but I really don't do that. I don't roll that way. I really don't even use EQ either. So I would recommend getting the Oracle. And if you say, man, could you really just do just a review of that set and not put anything else in it? Sure. Leave your comment below and I'll talk just about this and pretend that there's nothing else out there. I know that a lot of people watching this want to know, how does it compare with the Excalibur or the Oracle? It's not on the same level. How does it compare with the Clairvoyance? Clairvoyance has more power in the sub bass and it is audible, but I don't find that I need it actually, and I like the way that it handles treble better. I'm talking about the Oracle. So this is why a lot of people are watching this video right now. Is it an alternative to the Clairvoyance? It's better than the Clairvoyance. Is it better than the Excalibur? I already said that when I did the Oracle video. So if you want to see a full review of this done, you know, bass, mids, treble, conclusion, I'll go ahead and do that. But I know that the video is being watched by people that have two specific questions. Is the ThieAudio Clairvoyance a better set? I don't think so. Is this an alternative to that? I think the Oracle's better than that. I think that the Excalibur is something that you need to wait for other people that have different libraries from mine to give you a better feel for what it is in total. Because with a rock and roll based library, you know, 60s to 90s mostly, hip hop, reggae, the Oracle and the Clairvoyance are on another level, and the Oracle is $200 cheaper than the Clairvoyance. So bad timing for the Excalibur. I guess it just comes down to that pretty much. So if you want me to do my typical bass, mids, treble conclusion video with a couple demos and audio samples, I'll go ahead and do that. Leave your comment below. Wasn't trying to make a weird video. It's just, this is a unique moment where this is being asked to be compared to two different sets by the same family. Compare it to the Clairvoyance, please. It's better than the Clairvoyance in every way except the sub bass. Compare it with the Excalibur, which I kind of already did. It's the Oracle's the better set than the Excalibur. So that's why this is a little bit different of a video right now. So I guess we'll just leave it on that. If you want, please check that out. Because you can listen to a great example of two low frequency instruments kind of doing the same thing at the same time, and listen to different sets that you have that you consider to have different bass quality, and behold the difference in that, what he's doing right there, those pulls and releases going up the fretboard. Listen to this on a great set that you love, and then listen to one that you're less in love with because of the bass, and notice how it treats this, especially if the difference between the sets exists in the mid bass. And that's my OCD input. And I'll do a full review if you guys ask for it. But the two questions that I mentioned, that's what everybody wanted to know. And I'm out.
Coming from Queens. Coming.